All right. Yes, 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 yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Drew Titan. Shout out to the mighty LDBC Bronx on deck. And as you guys can see, I got two rock stars. That is the Iceman, John Scully. That
Yes, sir.
is the Sandman, the original Sandman, Scott Pemberton. Fellas, how you guys doing?
Great.
Scotty, how you doing, Scotty? Can you hear me? You might have. All right. Well, let's get into it, brother. Let's get into it. All right. First and foremost, yeah, everybody's pouring in. Salute, Tone Brown. Salute. Anthony Bolton, what's up, man? How you doing? Reggie Cheese, what's up? Omega Red, what's good? Donald, the 64-year-old G, great. What's up, man? Hey, listen, we're gonna get it popping. I know the brothers y'all here. Y'all got a lot of shit y'all could be doing on y'all Saturday, but y'all here. I appreciate it. First and foremost, we're gonna start with the Iceman. Give us a background on yourself, so for those that don't know.
Well, I started boxing when I was 12 years old, 1980. Mostly because of Muhammad Ali. I followed Muhammad Ali. I started boxing because I wanted to pretend I was Muhammad Ali. And so I started doing that in my house, in the mirror. And that was around 1980. And I used to box with my friends in the neighborhood. And my father saw an ad for a gym in 1982. So he brought me to the gym, and I always looked at it, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'll go there, and there'll be a real ring and real gloves, and I'll just pretend I'm Muhammad Ali with those guys, you know? So I just used to box them and pretend I was Ali. And if they were like the first kid I boxed with was a kid named Mark Sear, and he's a white kid, 17, you know? So I would pretend he was Jerry Quarry. And if I boxed, you know what I mean? Whoever I boxed with, I would try to compare them to somebody Ali fought. And Joe Foreman, Joe Frazier, whoever it was. And I would just pretend I was boxing those guys. And that's how I started boxing.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Sandman, Scott Pemberton, how'd you get into the sport?
Well, probably like I grew up in a town where there was all white people. Mm-hmm. And I was the only kid, me and two other kids of any color. Mm-hmm. And so kind of like prejudice back then. Mm-hmm. I mean, still prejudice people today, but not like it was back then. Mm-hmm. And people used to just start trouble with me, kind of was pick on me a little bit. So I started doing a little boxing when I very first started doing it. I started a YMCA with my father. I was maybe 6 years old. I did it for a few months, but then I was going around punching people in school. I was in trouble, so my father pulled me out. So then, I didn't do any boxing until I was 17 years old, and then I fought in the Golden Gloves. A trainer named Vincent from the Boys Club. I only trained for maybe a month or so, and I made the finals in the gloves. I didn't fight anymore. I was in the military for 3 years. I was out of the military for a little while, and maybe 2 or 3 years. And I see it in the streets, and a friend of mine said he thought I was really talented when it came to that. I fought in the Golden Gloves after I trained for a few months, and I knocked out everybody I fought in the Southern New England Golden Gloves. I won the Southern New England Golden Gloves, and then as a novice, and then I had to turn over a novice title. You had an open way back in the day. I don't know how they do it now. So then I fought in the Golden Gloves another year. I won the Southern New England Golden Gloves again, and then I went to the regionals up in Lowell, Massachusetts, and I made it to the finals, and I fought Richard out in the Montaigne. I lost to him in the finals, a decision to him in the finals. I fought another year, in the, I just fought in the Golden Gloves. I fought in the there's one other tournament, the New England AAUs, or I don't even know the name. Anyway, that was it. I only had like maybe 9 amateur fights, and I turned pro.
After 9 amateur fights, you turned pro?
Yep.
Wow, that's boss. That's some boss moves right there, man. Goodness, man. What is your like fondest memories of like your career? What is like your favorite part of your career? Like the one thing that happened, you're like, man, you look back at it, it's like, yo, man, this right here, this provided me like the best memory.
All right, I'll tell you. I fought Sheikah. After the first fight, they asked me, what are you going to do this time as you didn't do the last time? And I said, I'm going to win more convincingly. And I did. And that was the highlight of my career.
Yeah, that was a hard ass fight, man. I remember watching that in my house, and I was standing up. I was standing up the whole time. I said, damn, what is going on here? Iceman, same question to you. Like something you could look back and say, well, wow, this right here, this is it right here.
Yeah.
Right. I think one thing I have a few things, but when I was an amateur, I always wanted to make the Olympic trials. Not even the Olympics. I just wanted to make the Olympic trials because I wanted to be one of the best in the United States, like the guys I used to watch on TV. And there was a guy named Darren Allen who was a world amateur champion. I used to see him on TV, and I was almost like obsessed with Darren Allen. And when I got to the Eastern Olympic trials in 1988, he was there. And as soon as I saw that he was there, I knew we were going to fight each other. I knew the moment I saw him. I'll never forget. He was jumping rope by the swimming pool, and he had his USA boxing sweatsuit on that they give you when you fight internationally, because he was the world amateur champion. And as soon as I saw him, I knew we were going to meet, and we did, and I beat Darren, and that was the crowning moment of my whole box, even pro. Like that was the one moment I would probably never replace. Is that moment?
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like I said, I've been in gyms, I've watched pros train, and for you guys to make the choice for this as your primary career, that's to me, that's right up there with the military, man. You got to have balls to do what you got to do. That's why it's really hard for me to refer to, the lingo, like when you call someone a bum. I really don't. I have to really be pissed off to call another fighter a bum, because when you train for 3 months, you sacrificing time with your family, effort. You getting in sparring, you risking getting cut, and all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And this is your choice,
right?
It's really difficult to call someone a bum.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what's really funny about that is that this is how fighters look at it. If you get a guy and he calls, say, Roy Jones knocks out Brian Brandon, say. Remember that fight, Brian Brandon? Roy Jones killed Brian Brandon. Roy Jones knocked out Montel Griffin in 1 round. Roy Jones, beat all these guys, right? Mm-hmm. And people say, the guy's a bum. Look at that, right? Brian Brandon and Montel Griffin would annihilate any human being on this earth their weight that wasn't a boxer. Anyone. There's no one on this planet that could box with those guys and not get killed. But yet they call them a bum. And I've had guys tell me, oh, I saw that guy Roy Jones fought. He wasn't that good. And I'm like, listen, he wasn't that good compared to Roy Jones. He's like God compared to you. You don't even, you're too ignorant to realize it. And so that's why I never call a guy, because I don't know anything about basketball. I don't know anything about baseball. I don't know anything about whatever. I would never watch a baseball game and say, the guy sucks. I'm like, listen, even the worst guy in the major leagues is unbelievable. Like that guy is awesome as a baseball player. He's just not great compared to A-Rod, you know what I mean? So I don't diss guys ever, because I know to reach that level, you have to be somebody.
Right. To digress on that, it's funny you mentioned baseball. I remember years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I was at a family cookout, and there was a friendly game of baseball. So it was some guys from my family, and there was some other guys in the park. So it was like, we're just gonna play a simple game. So I'm up at bat, playing tough, and it's little white guy. He's standing on the mound. He says, "I'm just gonna throw it." I said, "Man, throw that goddamn ball." He says, "No, I'm just gonna throw." I said, "Man, throw that damn ball." He threw the ball, and his boy caught it, and then I swung. I said,
Yeah.
"What the hell?" Come to find out, long story short, that kid was in the minor leagues.
Right.
So can you imagine me trying to hit a fastball from Randy Johnson? Can you imagine that?
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
Could not do it. And that's another thing. You might, if you Google this, I'm sure it's on the internet where you can see it. And I always say, I said, no man in this world would ever say he could beat Usain Bolt in a race. He wouldn't say he could hit a Randy Johnson fastball. He wouldn't say he could beat Allen Iverson in one-on-one. But he'll say he could last around with Mike Tyson for $1 million. He could not last around with Mike Tyson. He could not do it. It could not happen. Like, it's just, people are. I think, and I believe that it's part of a macho thing. Like, a man doesn't want to believe that another man could beat him in a fight.
Right.
And you would fight Roy Jones, you would be helpless. You would be, if they said, hit Roy Jones one time or you're going to die. You'd have to die. You die. You would die. The average man on the street couldn't touch Roy Jones if his life depended on it. And people don't realize that. They're it's really a crazy thing.
It's different when you're in there. The hardest sparring session I ever had was against a freaking 57-year-old man. And at the time, I wasn't even 30 years old.
Right,
I wasn't even 30 years old, and I knew enough in the ring not to get killed. This is 57, and I wish I knew what that man's name was, but that was the first time I saw angles outside the ring, but that was actually the first time I felt it. When you're trying to hit someone and it's pivoting and spinning to your weak side, and you get hit all over the side of your head. I'm like, what the fuck? What? He was just standing here a second ago. So I totally feel someone's pain when they're trying to hit a guy like a prime Zab Judah, and they spinning in all these crazy angles, and you're like, what's going on? From the outside looking in, from the guys like myself that are not pros, we don't understand what's going on. Well, I understand because I'm looking at it, but it's different when you're in there. It's way different, man. Holy cow. It's not, and that's another thing. I'm sure you guys have seen the guy that walks up off the street, comes into the gym, and thinks this shit is easy. What happens to them 15 seconds in the first round?
They quit. They're so tired.
They quit. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. I've seen a 16-year-old beat up a 30-year-old man. Beat him up. Beat him up. And this was like the worst kid of the bunch. Beat him right. Beat the brakes off him. It was ridiculous. So I have so much respect for the sport. It's just hard, man. But I have a training question. What are the major difficulties in training when you're trying to make weight? I'm gonna go to Scotty first. Like, did you ever have a problem like making weight? Was it hard? Was it easy? Like, what was it for you?
Every single time. Yeah, it's just like normally I would walk around. I fought 160. I would walk around probably about 170, 180. That's what I normally walked around at. And I was training all the time. That's what you eat, and it's really difficult. You get a sweet tooth thing, so it's really difficult to get down, that weight and stay there. So basically, what I would try to do is try my hardest to get down as low as I could. But then the day weigh in, I'd be like 176 pounds. So what I would do is I'd go in the steam room, chew gum, keep spit, and I would get whatever mess until then I'd weigh in. As I went in, I would drink some peanuts. And usually you fight next day. day you put all your weight back on. You know, it was always a little difficult.
So if you yeah, that actually leads into my next question. So if you make weight the day before, how much do you rehydrate the next day? Hello? Can you hear me, Scott? Scott? All right, we'll come back to him. John, same question.
So, well, it depends on how much. It depends on how difficult it is that you know to lose the weight. Like in other words, when you, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you something to look for next time when they have a weigh-in. Say the weigh-in's on Friday, and then on Saturday they tell you how much the guy weighed in the dressing room. When a guy is really, when he gains a lot of weight in 24 hours, that a lot of people think, oh, that's good. He's going to be heavy. He's going to be stronger. When you gain a ton of weight in 24 hours, that means you didn't lose it properly to begin with, and your body is starving for water and fluid to come back in, and it's holding on to it. So when you see that, that means the guy more than likely had a tough time making it. He really struggled to make it. People that are like I'll give you an example. Arturo Gatti would weigh in on a Friday, and then the next day he'd weigh in at 140, and then the next day he'd weigh 159. You know what I mean?
Right.
Struggling to make it. Whereas Bernard Hopkins would weigh 160, then the next day he'd be like 163 and a half. That's because Bernard was always close to his weight. He didn't have to kill himself to make it. So that's something to look for next time you watch a fight. Pay attention and see what the guy weight, how much he gains quickly, and that'll tell you how hard he had to make it.
Yeah, that's tough. So, man, same day weigh-ins. Do they hurt fighters? Do they help fighters? Or does it depend on the fighter?
They'll hurt you, and I'll tell you why. A fighter's mentality is different than regular people. Now, a fighter, if he can make 160, hypothetically, if he can make 160, it doesn't matter if the weigh-in is 5 minutes before the fight. He's going to make it. He's in his mind, he feels like he can do it. So if you do it the day of the fight, the fighter's still going to try and make it. And in his mind, and I know because I did it. When I fought Tony Thornton, 1993, we fought in Philadelphia. They do the same day weigh-ins there. And I literally went from the steam room in the hotel. I got out. I was in the bathroom, spitting in the sink in the steam room. And then I went right to the weigh-in. I walked to the weigh-in, because in my mind, that was better than just gaining weight, being heavier. That's just a fighter's mentality. So you're not going to have enough time to replenish. Even doing it in one day, if you're struggling to make weight on Friday and you have to fight Saturday, you're not going to be optimal. That's why you'll see a guy fight, and then I use myself as an example. I've fought fights where I fought the fight, didn't look sharp, and the guys I spar with will say, man, when we were sparring, you looked so fast, you looked so sharp. And I said, yeah, well, when I was sparring with you, I was weighing 182 pounds. When you saw me fight, I was weighing 175. That's 7 pounds. There's a big difference between those pounds. So, yeah. So that brings another subject. Like a lot of times when you see a guy in a fight, as good as he may look, his potential is so much more because everybody, basically, I would say 99% of fighters outside of Bernard Hopkins have to struggle to make weight in some fashion, other than heavyweights, of course. I struggled, and I know Scotty did. I worked with Scotty and sparred with him, but I know I literally struggled with weight for probably after I got to 10-round fights. Every fight I ever had was a struggle to make weight.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
So, do you think that there's a is training better now than it was 20 years ago? Do you think so? As far as getting a fighter in shape.
I think I'll say this. Put it this way. like with the dawn of strength coaches, right? They have a strength. Everybody has a strength coach. We didn't, there was a time Marvin Hagler. There's nobody in history in better shape than Marvin Hagler. Marvin was his own strength coach. You know what I mean? If you have the mentality for what you need to do, you don't need a strength coach. Like a strength coach is a glorified word, for just a guy trying to help you out. He's pushing. He's trying to do all these fancy things. Nothing replaces hard boxing training. I don't care what anybody says. Right. And you look at it this way, as far as conditioning goes. Back in the day, you watch Bazooka Limon and Bobby Chacon, and Bazooka Limon and Cornelius Boza Edwards. You watch Matthew Saad Muhammad and these guys back in the late 70s, early 80s. And you watch fights today, and you tell me who's in better shape. You know what I mean? There's guys today, they got a strength coach and a nutritionist working with them 4 hours a day, and they can't throw more than 50 punches around. I mean, come on. Like back in the day, guys like Ray Oliveira. Ray Oliveira didn't have a strength coach. I mean, Ray Oliveira holds the record. Scotty knows Ray just as well as I do. Scotty sparred with Ray and was together with him in the gym. Ray Oliveira threw, 1,500 punches in a fight, in one fight. I mean, that was nothing. He used to do it all the time. He holds all the records and everything. He had the mentality for it. He trained hard. He jumped rope. He sparred. He did what he did, and he fought. These guys today, I don't care if you have the greatest strength coach on the face of this earth. If you don't have the heart to fight and to push when you get tired, it means absolutely zero. It means nothing. It will help nothing. You have to have, look at Scotty, the way Scotty fought Shika. You know what I mean? Digging down like that. If you don't have that, you could run 400 miles a day and you're not going to be able to do what Scotty did against Shika. It's not even going to happen for you.
Man, Scotty, how was you in training camp? How much of it was athleticism and how much of it was heart? Can you hear me? I'm thinking Scotty has a. Hey, Scotty, if you can hear me, go out and come back in. So, because we can't. Let me send him a text. Hold on. Go out and come back.
A connection.
In. Oh, okay. He got back connection. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Tell him maybe move closer to the router in his house.
Oh, can you hear? Move closer to the router of the house. Move closer to your router in the house. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is real. All right. Well, anyway. Yeah, Anthony said, Ray Oliveira. Well, he was an underrated fighter. He was very underrated.
Ray threw punches. Look at his fights with Vince Phillips, Zach Padilla. I think him and Vince combined threw over 3,000 punches in one fight. I don't think anyone's ever done that, and no guy today with a strength coach has done that. And really, as far as the training goes, there's only been 3 instances in my eyes when a strength coach played a part. And every time it was the same strength coach, and it was for the same reason. It was to bring a guy up in weight. It was Mackie Shillstone brought up Michael Spinks to fight Larry Holmes. He brought up Roy Jones to fight John Ruiz.
That's right.
And he brought up Bernard Hopkins to fight Antonio Tarver. He was able to help them gain weight and still be effective.
That's right.
Other than that, you can't tell me one guy on the face of this earth that was a regular fighter, went with a strength coach, and then a year later he's a good top class fighter. It has never happened. It means nothing. And again, if you don't have that Scott Pemberton, Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti, Muhammad Ali, that type of dig down, then it's not gonna matter. Like it would be like giving you the keys to a Lamborghini and you can't drive. So what's the point of having the keys if you can't drive?
Right. It makes no point. Scotty, you got a better connection? I see the picture like jumping. Whenever you get a good connection, just say something. I'll hear you. All right, let's talk about training now. Who are you training?
Well, my main thing is I help train Arthur Beterbiev, the light heavyweight champion. He just beat Kavadzik in October.
That guy's serious. He's very serious.
He's a beast. He's a very, very unbelievable beast. So I've been with him for 4 years, and they're actually just waiting right now. I think we're going to China in a couple months to fight. So waiting to go to training camp with Arthur.
Oh, he's going to China?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to fight a guy from China in China.
Oh, shit. What is, man, I'm glad you brought him up because in my opinion, he's the reason why Canelo got the hell out of 175.
Oh, of course. There's no way. Listen, and even Canelo himself, as a fighter, he may want to do it, right? But there's smart boxing people guiding careers, promoters and trainers. They know what's happening. I mean, Arthur is a different human being. He would be way too strong for Canelo. There's no way Canelo could hang with Arthur for 12 rounds. There's no way.
Absolutely not. And Canelo's good, but I know what he's doing. And it's highly skilled fighter, but to me, I think the up in weight, he was kind of like legacy padding. Do you think? Well, before I give my opinion, what do you think Canelo did? In your opinion, in your professional opinion, what do you think he did? Going up to fight Kovalev instead of Beterbiev or anybody else, any of the anybody, Bivol, anybody.
Right. I mean, you know what? That's what matchmaking is. Matchmaking is a science, and you're going to go up in that weight to fight a guy that big. You're going to pick the guy who suits you the best. Right. And obviously Arthur wasn't that guy. Kovalev was a big name, but they saw some weakness in him mentally. You know what I mean? And one thing I'll say, and I said this before the fight in an interview, and I always like to get it on an interview before, so nobody could say I'm just saying it now after the fact. Right. But I said his speed, his lack of size would benefit him against Kovalev. And by that, what I mean is, and Scotty could tell you, when you spar, say you're a middleweight, super middleweight, you'll do better sparring a cruiserweight than you will a good welterweight. A good welterweight will give you much more problems than a good cruiserweight will, because your speed is going to be so much better and something that they're just not used to. Canelo, being as small as he is, but with the good head movement and the counter punching, Kovalev has never in his life faced a smaller guy like that who he couldn't hit. And I'll give you an example. Like, I've seen guys 140 pounds spar with guys 165, 168 and do extremely well because of their speed and different aspects like that. So they knew, I think, that their head movement and counterpunching and their durability was going to play, a perfect role in the fight with Kovalev. With a guy like Arthur, with Arthur, it wouldn't have made a difference. Arthur's just physically a strong guy, and the other two guys at the time, Kavadzik, it wouldn't be a big fight for Canelo to beat them anyway. So I think basically it came down to Arthur or Kovalev. Which one do you choose out of those two?
Mm-hmm.
And Kovalev was seen as the better option,
more lucrative.
I think Scotty might be back. Scotty, you back?
Scotty, you care? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think Arthur would have kicked his ass. That's just me. Me. And you're right. Matchmaking definitely is a science. I'm not mad at anybody for jumping up and just saying that they did that. Because if you think back, I remember when Roy Jones first went up to heavyweight. He fought John Ruiz, but John Ruiz at that time was the most vulnerable heavyweight at that time with the belt. He was not fighting no Lennox Lewis. It just looked odd. And if someone sanctioned that fight, Roy Jones versus Lennox Lewis, they've been put in jail because the size difference was just too much. But I understand what Canelo did. But the elephant in the room was, I'm sure you've read it. And I hate talking about it. Do you guys think that fight was fixed in any way, shape, or form?
No, I didn't think so. And I'll tell you why. Number one, Kovalev beating Canelo would have been like winning a lottery ticket. You know, he wouldn't have wanted to lose that. He would have wanted to win. He would have wanted to get paid, going forward. And like I say, people think he threw the fight because he wasn't really aggressive throwing the right hand. And I say, listen, he wasn't aggressive and he wasn't throwing big punches because he was getting countered, just like I was explaining earlier. He was getting countered viciously by a smaller guy that was could still punch. Like when you're 160 pounds and you hit a guy that weighs 190, he's still gonna feel it. It's still gonna hurt. I mean, people act like a 160 pounder hits like a baby, and they obviously have never fought as a pro. I mean, I've sparred with guys that weighed 126 that I said to myself, if I get hit with a clean shot, this guy could hurt. 126 pounds. I weighed 175. This guy's 126. I'll tell you who he was. His name is Angel Vasquez. Angel Nito Vasquez. You can look him up. He hit as hard as any 160-pound guy I ever sparred with, ever. Other than Roy Jones. And Nito was huge puncher. So my point is, Canelo is hurting Kovalev. Every time Kovalev's trying to reach out there with a right hand, he's getting countered with the hooks. So he knows there's a reason guys don't throw punches. They're not doing it because they don't feel like it. They're doing it because there's something coming back at them. I think he realized that he needed to be careful with and he was and here's the thing, he was doing well. Like Kovalev, when he was using his jab, he was doing well. And even after the first 2 or 3 rounds, I thought something might be wrong with Canelo because Canelo wasn't really looking too confident, and I thought maybe Kovalev was gonna whitewash. But a fight is 12 rounds, not 3. They take the time, they settle in. So again, I don't think Kovalev threw the fight because like I say, he had a lot to gain by winning, and B, he was fighting a guy who was counterpunching him, and anybody who's been in with a good counterpuncher will tell you that that's no fun day at the park.
Do you think that Kovalev took that fight too early because he was just coming off of a tough fight?
Right. Well, that's been the general consensus. It's funny. I'm kind of torn on that. In this era, I understand that the mentality of guys, but by the same token, Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta fought a tough fight. And then 3 weeks later, they fought again. I mean, 3 weeks, 21 days, they fought again. They went the distance, and there was knockdowns and everything in both fights. They went 2 fights in 21 days. So I don't know. I mean, as a professional, I would like to think that the light heavyweight champion of the world could handle a couple fights in a couple months. When back in the day, the best fighters in the world were fighting. I'll give an example. Willie Pep lost the title. He lost the title in October of whatever year he lost the title, 1945 or whatever it was. In October, by the end of the year, he fought like 3 more times before Christmas.
Yeah.
In today's world, that's a 7-month layoff. You lose the title, you're not fighting for 7 months. That's the mentality. So I think in that regard, guys are a little soft. I mean, someone from back in that era would hear Kovalev's reasoning and say, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. That sounds a little suspect. Muhammad Ali, look at Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier March 8, 1971, right? Look at his record. Look how many more times he fought in 1971 after a grueling 15-round fight with Joe Frazier. Look at his record. Look how many times he fought in 1971. You'd be surprised.
It was a different era. It was a different mentality back then. There's a lot more money. But I'm looking at the chat right now. My buddy Focus Ball, he said Kovalev also had legal troubles and needed the money. I mean, valid point. But these are certain things why people were saying that the fix may have been in.
Let me say this. Let me say this. And as a person who has been punched with 10-ounce gloves on, and I believe I'm an authority on what this is. There's no man on the face of this earth who knows what it is going to let Canelo Alvarez blast him with 3 or 4 shots and knock him out. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say and what you think you know. You are not letting Canelo Alvarez. When the moment comes and you say, okay, now I'm gonna drop my hands a little and let him hit me. That's like saying, now I'm gonna jump off this building. And I'm trying to jump off the other building. It may sound good when you're thinking about it in bed, but when it comes time to jump off that building and try and jump on the other building, or else you fall 40 stories, that's a little different. Nobody in their right mind is letting Canelo Alvarez blast them. Look if they want to get stopped and say that they got knocked out, they'll get hit with a shot and go down, or they'll say they hurt their hand, or they'll cover up and let the referee stop it. But nobody in this world that knows what it is letting someone like Canelo Alvarez blast them with 4 punches. Forget about it. It's not happening.
That's a great point, because I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. He took the fight kind of fast, and I know he notoriously has had stamina issues. And when you look at the things that he was going through legally, and then mysteriously the DAZN deal came and popped up and he hopped on it, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the fix was in, and that's why people are thinking on it. But you're the pro, and what you just said makes absolute sense. I mean, you get popped in your head on purpose,
right? There's ways. If I would never throw a fight. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, knowing boxing as I do, if a guy is gonna throw a fight and make it look like he got stopped, he's not gonna actually get knocked out. He's gonna let something happen where he's in that close. But to say, I'm gonna let Canelo Alvarez hit me with 4 good shots and knock me out, I don't believe that for a minute. Like I say, that's easy to say, but when the time comes to actually do it, that's a little different. Especially, like I say, he was doing good. He would, if he won the fight, which he was doing well early on, he could have turned that fight. He could have been a star. He could have turned it into all kinds of money.
Yeah, this is true. Let me segue into the other point, like we was talking about earlier. As far as fighters, you guys put your lives on the line for our entertainment. And like I said, I was talking to Reggie Johnson. I had him on the show a while ago. How would fighters go about putting together a pension fund for all of you guys? So like when you walk away from the game, you can at least have something, like some sort of residual income for the rest of your lives, no matter what the amount.
Well, I'm going to tell you one reason why it's so difficult is that, contrary to popular belief, the average fighter, and I'm going to use Scotty because it's not a secret. I'm not putting business out there, but I'll use Scotty as an example. Fighters top ranked, like I'll give you an example. Right now in the NFL and the Major League Baseball, the lowest paid guy in either league probably makes $300,000 a year. You know what I mean? Like the lowest guy, that's the 3rd string shortstop, that's never gonna play. He's never gonna step onto the field. He's making good money compared to boxers.
Right.
Scotty was ranked #1, had fought 2 fight of the year type fights in a row with Umar Shika. As I recall, and Scotty could clarify, I don't think Scotty up until that point had ever made more than $10,000 for one fight, including the Shika fights.
Fucking crime, man.
Scotty always will tell you, and he'll tell you himself. He used to tell me, he said, listen, because we were having trouble with the audio, so he can't say it. But I'll tell you what he used to say. He said, I don't care about the belt. I want to make money. I want to buy a house.
Right.
He said, if I could fight if I could fight Roy Jones for 50,000 or
Right.
fight for the WBC belt for 100, I'm going for the belt. And if I could fight Roy Jones for 100,000 and fight for the WBC belt for 50, I'm fighting Roy Jones. I want the money more than I want the belt. So,
Right.
you know, fighters, the point I'm making is fighters today, they're starving. They're trying to make money. So when you tell them, all right, we're going to take some of your money and put it away, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it because they don't have enough to spare for the future. It's not like a NBA guy going, all right, I'm gonna put 100,000 in a CD. You know what I mean? Like, fighters don't have that kind of money laying around. Floyd has everybody thinking everybody's rich.
Exactly.
And I can assure you, they are not rich. Fighters are not rich.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Who's it in the chat? Who said that? I'm trying to give them credit because they asked a really good question. Tony Boswell, he said, do you think fighters should unionize boxing? Is that something?
Like I say, it's tough. See, it's the problem is it's not like other sports. Other sports are organized by a league. Everything is planned out. They have, you know, in advance who's playing who. You know, the Redskins are playing the Giants in the 11th week. Mm-hmm. No matter what happens, whether they're terrible or great, they're playing each other. One of them's great, one of them's terrible, they're playing each other. Baseball is planned out years in advance. Boxing is the only thing that's literally on the fly. You know what I mean? It's literally a day by day thing. So to unionize it, it's really, really tough because it's not structured in a way where it would be, in other words, it would be a mess. It's not structured at all. You know what I mean? And like I say, you know, the problem is guys are fighting, and you know, some of them, like an NFL player, he's playing 16 games, period. Whereas a boxer, for a couple months, he might tell his manager, I don't feel like fighting. Don't get me a fight for a couple months. You know, I'm out of the game. I'm out of it. You know, I don't, my head's not right. I'm not in it. So the dynamics of boxing are so much different than every other sport. That's a huge reason why they've never been able to do that, to really unionize it and get the pensions and the security and all these type of things. It's just, you know, it's like every man for himself. And you know, we're in a game where you could be fighting, and then 2 months you have a different manager, you have a different promoter. The dynamics of your business deals are completely different. Whereas, you know, you get a baseball player, you know, he's signed to a team for 6 years for a certain amount of money, and that's it. A fighter, he doesn't know next year if he's going to make 200,000 or 4,000. You know what I mean? He has no idea what he's going to make. Literally no idea.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. And there's a million boxers around the world, so you would probably have 14 million different unions. You know what I mean? Different rules. You know, there'd be one in Mexico, Argentina, Canada, America, and it'd be difficult. What is this pension thing that's going on in that you and Reggie was talking about in California? What is that exactly?
Well, that's all that is guys who fought in California back in the 80s and the 90s. They put some money away, but you had to fight a certain amount of rounds in your career in the state of California. And if you met the criteria, they'll give you some money. But I'm sure it's not that much. You know what I mean? I'm sure we're not talking retirement money by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a little money that they put aside. So I think people, when they hear the word pension, they're thinking these guys are going to get residual income for the rest of their lives, and it's not that at all. It's more like just money that was set aside. You know, maybe it was in a CD or something, and annuity, and they're just going to collect it, but it's not going to be life changing by any stretch.
That's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, this is why the game is so, like, you know, because I personally, I want the best for you guys, man. I want the best for you guys, man, because, again, you guys choose to do this for our entertainment. And it's sad when you talk to some fighters and, you know, I mean, you guys are doing fairly well, but there's some guys that are not. And whether it be because, and it's like they could leave the game and they can't get a conventional job because, you know, they
Well,
take so many shots. It's just bad.
Well, I'll tell you another huge aspect of it. The average, now I wouldn't say average, but a lot of athletes, and we're talking baseball, football, basketball, boxing. A lot of athletes are just regular kids. They're not genius students. They're not, you know, focused on studies. You know, that what makes them so good is the fact that they are focused on athletics more than academics. But the difference that all those sports have over us is this. You get a kid, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, you know, I don't know if Allen Iverson's a good choice, but guys that went to college, they're a part of a team. They're around guys that are smart, guys that know about finances. They're around teachers. They're around professors. Then they have advisors. They have managers. They have agents who know what they're doing. A boxer can turn pro. It can go through his whole amateur career and turn pro with no one who knows anything about finance. He just does it and he wants to make money. And after the fight, they give him a check and he takes it and he goes home with it. He has no advisor. He has no teacher. He has no professor schooling him on these things.
Yeah.
And put it this way, I'll give you an example. I had a fighter one time. He grew up in the hood, you know, real good kid, the whole nine, but was not a product of higher education. He didn't know. He did not know. He got a payday, $35,000 for a fight. And I'm telling him, you need to put the money away. You know, you should do a CD. You should do this, that. Oh yeah, we'll do that right now. Of course, after the fight, he disappeared. He spent that money in less than 1 month, and on nothing. Like there was no CD, there was no annuity. It was all in a crazy way. It was almost comical the way he spent it on silly things. But the upshot,
I can't hear you, John.
I was saying, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Well, I lost you again.
Okay, I don't know what it is.
I got you now.
Okay.
Good.
I don't know what it was, but he blew the money on whatever he blew it on. And so a month or two later, all that money was gone. He literally, economically, he fought the fight for nothing.
Oh.
He had no education on money, and I tried to give him one. I tried to guide him, and he just totally blew it off. And so he fought the fight for nothing, basically, because it wasn't like he was buying gold or buying annuities. You know, he was buying, food and whatever he was buying.
It sounds like what you're talking about educating the athlete. It sounds like, because again, I don't know, but it sounds like that's something that Al Heyman is doing with his guys. He's educating these guys more about the business aspect behind the scenes.
I've heard that. I don't know Al. I've never met him or anything, but that's what I've heard. I've heard he's a guy who's trying to teach fighters how to do these things and how to plan ahead. But I'll give you just one more, so I can give this guy a shout out. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Breland's signing deal when he turned professional. I don't know if you ever heard about that.
I've heard it, but I don't know exactly what it is. But I've heard something about it.
Here's what I remember, and his manager was Shelly Finkel, and I talked to Shelly about this, and he kind of explained it to me. And this is what this is what I was told by Shelly. Now you give guys now, and again, a lot of kids are products of the inner city. They have no financial background. You give that kid at 20 years old $1 million, there's no way he keeps that money. There's no way that money survives, because there are too many ways, and we all know what they are. There's too many ways that money is going to leave his hands. Now, Mark Breland, as told to me by Shelly Finkel, he turned pro, I believe he was 21 years old. He signed a deal with Shelly. Shelly invested in annuities for him. He put a certain amount of money in annuities, And the deal was that when Mark Breland turned 32 years old, which is a young man, from the time, even if he retired, even if he quit, from the time he's 32 until whenever he dies, all these years later, he will receive $100,000 a year for the rest of his life. So this year, next year, he'll get $100,000. Now, Shelly Finkel orchestrated that deal, and that's the deal. And to me, all these guys are like, oh, well, you know, so-and-so got $2 million signing bonus. And I'll say, yeah, and I bet you that money's gone. I bet you it's all gone. And Mark Breland, you know, and Mark, if, you know, I know Mark. Mark is not a guy buying cars and jets and mansions. You know, he's a very reasonable guy. So he's literally going to be set for the rest. He is set for the rest.
Man, that is amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Sure,
that's another reason why.
If you Google it, you can look it up. And I wish more guys took advantage of Shelly's idea and had done that. You know, but you get even a guy like Holyfield. You know, Holyfield's been around the world. He had advisors and everything, and he lost that mansion in Atlanta. It had like 32 bedrooms in it. And now think about that.
Yeah.
You know, who in the world needs 32 bedrooms? Or whatever, 17 bed, whatever it is. Who on this planet?
I know he got a bunch of kids, but I don't know.
Right. I think he has 10 or 11. Even then, he has too many bedrooms. He's got like 4 extra rooms. You know, and I'm like, you know. And my thing is this: like here's my mentality. Right now, I heard about Andy Ruiz, and this is how I knew he was going to lose that fight. He bought a car, and I forget the details. You can Google it. He bought a car after the first fight with Joshua for like whatever the price was. It was like 100 times more than I thought he should have spent, right? Now, my feeling is this. If you buy a car for $100,000, right, what does that car have, A, that you need, and B, what a $50,000 car doesn't have? What does a $100,000 car have that a $50,000 car wouldn't have? A $50,000 car would have everything known to man. But this guy spent more than that on a car, which more than likely, because his career, you know, he took a huge hit with that performance and coming in heavy. And I said it ahead of time. I said he spent the money too fast before he got it because he thinks that, you know, it's going to last forever. Now he killed himself with that performance, coming in that heavy. He killed himself. Nobody wants to see him now.
Right.
So he blew it.
You're dropping gems, John. I mean, you damn near should give a class to someone trying to break into the industry, man. But look, before I get out of here, 2 things. I want, if you have social media, I want you guys to plug it so people can find you. And I'm definitely going to need to have you guys on again. So you go ahead.
Well, on Facebook, I have 2 pages. I have Iceman John Scully, and I have John the Iceman Scully. And the Iceman is one word. I might have the limit of, you know, they have 5,000 friends. But if I'm not, if you can't friend me, you can follow me. It's the same thing. I'm on Instagram, Iceman John Scully. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, Iceman John Scully. And you know, the majority of my stuff is about boxing. I put up pictures and articles, and I start conversations. So I think a boxing fan would probably enjoy my page. So I invite you to give it a try.
Excellent, thank you, Scotty. Let everyone know how they can follow you. Can you hear Scotty? You there?
Well, in case he can, I know Scotty's on Facebook. I don't know if he's on the other thing, but he's definitely on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely going to have you guys back. Definitely, man, because you know, we're getting a lot of good feedback from this, man. And I definitely want to have an in-depth discussion about the business of boxing. I plan on having a lot more fighters on, past and present, and share the stories because I believe it's very important that you guys get heard, man. You know, and for those that don't know you, they need to get to know you. And the fight game is deeper than just Floyd Mayweather throwing money at the damn camera it's deeper than that, man. And it's if we're fans of the sport, but we need to understand what's going on. We need to understand the business aspect of it and the physical aspect of it, man. You know, because I think these are things that need to be heard. You know, I've spoken to guys like Chris Bird behind the scenes. I've had Kirk Johnson on the show, and there's a lot of things that us as fans we just don't know, and we just need you guys, the pros, to educate us on what's really going on. You know, like I said, the internet has made everyone a business expert, and I can count and I know some things, but I feel more confident when I talk to you guys to find out what's going on, so I can have a better idea when I go into a conversation. You know what I mean? Anthony's in the chat. He told me to tell you guys hello.
All right, sounds good.
So, real quick, the fight tonight: Harrison or Charlo? Who you got?
Ooh, I pick Harrison. And it's funny. I was, you know, and I try not to go too much by weigh-ins and things like that. But you know, when I see him talking, Charlo's right there, and Charlo doesn't seem to me to be the most confident guy. I think he's gotten in Charlo's head a little bit, because even when Charlo tries to say something
You're going in and out, sir.
it's even when he tries to say something back, you know, it's almost like he's saying it.
Oh, shit. Wait, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going in and out.
Okay.
It's going in and out. I don't know what's going on. But you're picking Harrison?
Yes.
Picking Harrison.
Okay.
All right. I got Charlo, but we're gonna see. Scotty, I know you could barely hear, but we're gonna have you on again. Yo, guys, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate you guys, man. We love you guys. We love what you guys do. John, I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
You guys enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'll contact you guys ahead of time and let you know what the topic. You let me know what your time's looking like. High five, better be it for me. Good luck in China. And I won't be a stranger, man. I'll be in touch.
All right.
I appreciate you guys. Shout out to the LDBC, man. We love y'all. Peace.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.